Hello, everyone, and thank you for checking out this podcast. We are in the home stretch of my pre-recorded and edited episodes. If you are jumping into this podcast in the middle, I do recommend you check out the first episode so you can understand more about what this project is. The rest of the episodes don't have to be listened to in any particular order. So the structure of this episode is a bit different from the others. You're not going to hear from as many people, and they'll be speaking for longer than usual. It's very possible that these were the only people who really had anything of substance to say about this topic, because it's not really a normal question. How has marijuana affected your sober life? I don't think this is something that most people have thought about consciously.
Oh, I think it totally affects your sober life.
I have no idea if the way I look at things sober changed after I smoked pot.
I think that you bring that with you, that expansion, although you can't really feel it in the way you feel it when you have that altering experience, you can remember it. It's a cellular memory that stays with you.
I think my life has changed since I've started smoking, even when I'm sober. And I think it's because I'm just conscious of what it's like to be high and how great it feels and what it feels like to be that relaxed. It's kind of like you don't really you can't comprehend something until you've experienced it.
I'm more aware that I'm sober than I am aware that I'm stoned at this point. So in other words, it's like being stoned feels fairly normal to me versus if I'm completely sober, that's noticeable.
I do feel like a different person when I'm sober. Like if I don't smoke for a few days, I will be irritable almost, and I won't necessarily know what's actually going on. And then, I'll smoke a doob and then I'll be like, oh, I just needed to get stoned. I didn't know. I was very grumpy. I didn't know what was wrong. I just needed to get stoned. Now I'm okay.
I mean, I definitely feel that sometimes I take on more of the weight of the world when I'm stoned, and when I start to sober up, what I was worried about while I was stoned all of a sudden doesn't seem as bad.
I still think the world is really shitty and hard to live in and not fair to 99.9% of the people living in it, but it makes it easier when I'm stoned to deal with that reality and rationalize it in a healthy way, and that carries over when I'm sober.
Having a day of not smoking pot is good too, but you take it all with you. Every experience you have somehow creates the next. So there's no way of knowing what the effect is on my life, just that it definitely has had an effect.
If I'm sober and I'm stressed out or I'm anxious about something at work, sometimes I'll just kind of tell my body, relax, kind of like when you're high, just relax, relax your mind, think of this in a positive way. How would I think of this if I were high? And that does help me function. And I'm still sober, so nobody has to worry about whatever they believe about it being a drug or messing me up or whatever. So recently I've been trying to, when I smoke, try to meditate, try to feel everything in my body, listen to all the sounds and clear my mind. And it's very new for me right now, so I don't really have results, but I think it's working because I've tried a couple times when I was sober to try and meditate, and I'm kind of maybe 1 to 5% remembering what that feels like high, and it kind of helps clear me, remembering how tingly my fingertips feel. I think it's helping me really remember all the little sensitivities in my body, whereas when I'm sober, I've got so many things going on in my mind that I don't focus on those tiny little details. So I think that smoking weed is changing my sober life in a positive way because I'm learning how to relax and be positive and clear my mind when I'm sober, just based off remembering how it felt when I was high.
The gift of marijuana is that it makes us realize that we can live in a very different way, okay? It takes us to the mountain, the high. The challenge is to take that high and incorporate it into everyday existence there. So the answer for me is that at first, when I first smoked marijuana 50 years ago, it wasn't the kind of experience I had after I was with marijuana for a while there. And I realized that, well, I'm feeling this thing, I'm experiencing this, and what I need to do is take the gift and bring it into everyday existence. So the truth for me is yes. It makes me realize I am this, and I can be this at any particular period of time. So I come down from the mountain and I incorporate my relationship to the rest of existence as I was on the mountain. And I think for many people that's very difficult because they're high and they want to be high in the same kind of way. And no, when you're on the mountain, you're high in some way, but when you're coming down and you got to be with your child to change the oil in your car, so on and so forth there, the high is to feel elevated in everyday existence.
I really like what these few people had to say, and clearly some of them even contradict each other. This just proves how people are affected differently by cannabis. So if you're someone who has never gotten high before, but this podcast is inspiring you to try it, I recommend you think about this topic when you do try it. Think about what it feels like to be high, and then see if you can consciously bring that feeling into your daily life. If you do this, I'd be really curious to know how things pan out for you. Feel free to send me an email or a message with your results. This is very scientific, I know. All of the contact information is in the show notes. So thank you for listening to this episode. Please tell everyone you know about this most fascinating podcast. And in the next episode, my subjects will talk about how big or small of a part marijuana plays in their life.